I'm a pianist, so I play the piano to earn my living, which I feel is a great privilege. But I specialize in chamber music. When you're playing chamber music with a singer, it's two people, but you're making one sound together. This is the ideal that we aim for. And that means that we have to literally be listening to each other. There's some sort of hidden communication that goes on between us, which means that we feel the music together. Mahler was very susceptible to words. He was always reading, and it was often words that he read that inspired his music. And his main, from these songs that he heard, from these poems that he read, seemed to have sprung these symphonies. Sometimes he would write a little song set from a poem from the collection of Des Knaben Wunderhorn. Little, very simple songs, and they inspired quite a lot of his music. So he would jot down a little song for piano and voice, and then it would germinate in his head. And when he came to write his big symphony in the summer holiday, that song would still be there. And sometimes that song would get it would not only inspire the symphony, but it would be included in the symphony. I mean, Mahler wrote an enormous range of songs, which some of them incredibly sad. These ones, for instance, Kindertotenlieder, written by Rückert, Friedrich Rückert, a great German poet, and he wrote them after 2 of his children had died. Can you imagine writing that? So he was writing in terrible grief, and Mahler really responded to that and wrote this incredibly beautiful music. But it's about grief. The great thing about song generally is it's very intimate. It's probably the most intimate form of music making. Maybe that could be said of all chamber music. It's often when you get the most close to the composer and the composer's inspiration. When they're writing a big symphony, especially in Mahler's case where he was writing such enormous symphonies for so many people, sometimes you lose that intimacy. You get wonderful color and you get wonderful orchestration, and exciting effects, but perhaps you don't get intimacy. And so I think if you love Mahler and you haven't heard these songs from the symphonies, like the 4th Symphony, 3rd Symphony, 2nd Symphony, they all have songs in them. If you haven't heard those in their original form, you haven't heard them at Mahler at his most intimate. And if you hear them as songs, as he originally wrote them, then you hear the true source, I suppose, the original source of his inspiration.